Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Friday. Not a happy Friday, I'm afraid. The Friday after a North London derby defeat, Arsenal going down 3-0 at Spurs last night in a derby that I can only really describe as a disaster. Pretty much from start to finish, or maybe not from start to finish. I actually thought for the first 20 minutes Arsenal played well with a better team. I was sitting there thinking, yeah, this is going all right. And then the penalty happened, and then capitulation, and just a horrible night. Apologies, I didn't get around to doing a video afterwards. I was pretty busy at full time, and also, quite frankly, I couldn't face talking about it because I was pretty miserable. But I thought I'd pop on today. We'll go over everything that went wrong, what happened, and more importantly as well, I'd say look ahead to Monday night because, and I know we're all going to be feeling pretty down this morning, there's no doubt about it. We were hoping we'd be sitting here on Friday celebrating a return to the Champions League, celebrating a huge moment at Tottenham by winning. It hasn't happened, and it is a big but, the important thing is Arsenal still are in pole position. It's easy to forget that this morning, given everyone's hailing Tottenham, everyone's jumping on the back of Arteta and Arsenal, but they're 1 point clear with 2 games to go. Win against Newcastle, win against Everton, Arsenal are in the Champions League. It's not the end of the world, last night's defeat. Obviously, Arsenal wanted to win. Yes, it would have been great, but it didn't happen. So I think the thing now is, look, get going again, focus on Monday and try and get the win. That's the key thing that Arteta's going to have to do with his players. Straight away he came into the press conference yesterday, he was saying, I can't wait for Monday night. And I think that has to be the attitude now, because what's done is done. What went wrong on Thursday night, it can't be rectified. It's done. It's in the history books. Tottenham won, fair play. They deserved it. They were the better team by a mile. But for Arsenal, it's clear, win 2 games and they're still in the Champions League. So that's got to be what Mikel Arteta focused on this morning. It's what the players have got to focus on this morning. It's going to be difficult. They're 2 tricky games. I think Tottenham have definitely got the easier running. It was interesting coming back from the game last night. I was on the train, packed, surrounded by Tottenham fans. Oh, it was horrible. And it was just really interesting listening to them all speak. The vast majority of them think it's done, think Tottenham are going to get top 4. That was the feeling amongst the Tottenham fans yesterday. There's a real confidence that was a turning point, a momentum shift, that Arsenal are not going to win at Newcastle. They're going to be, they've got injuries and they're going to go and lose. And that's what they think. I think a lot of people seem to think that as well in the media. We've seen the reaction to last night's game, and Arteta's going to have to almost use that to the players' advantage now, create this siege mentality. I think that's exactly what he did when he came into the press conference. I'll talk about that in a minute. But he had the opportunity. He could have criticised some of his players. He could have criticised Rob Holding for getting sent off, which, I'll get to that in a minute as well. But he didn't. He straight away, he was on the defensive. He looked to protect his players, and that's what he's got to do, because he knows he's got 2 massive games coming up. In terms of the big decisions, in terms of how the game went, look, I don't think it was a penalty for a start. Yes, there was a little shove by Cedric, but you see that every single game, 20 times. If that's a penalty, then how many penalties are you going to see every single Premier League match? You've got to really want to give that for that to be a penalty. For Paul Tierney, it was in real time. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what's he giving it for? And then when you watch the replay, slow down. Yes, there is a little bit of a shove there, but Cedric's just getting in front of his man. You just see it in every single corner, every set piece, every time a cross comes into the penalty area. Defender gives a forward a little nudge, gets him off balance. Normally, you're listening to the pundits on TV when you're watching that in the replay, it'll be like, oh, that's clever defending from Cedric. He got, he made Son off balance. He got his body in front of the player. It's just never a penalty for me. I just can't. I just don't see how that was given. Red card, I've got no issue with. It was stupid from Holding. It was definitely 2 yellow cards. Yes, Son absolutely was very lucky to get away with that elbow. I think if Holding rolls around on the floor, makes a big meal of it, and that gets properly looked at by VAR, there's a potential for Son to get sent off for that elbow. It didn't happen. Holding just carried on, and no one really took any notice of it. I mean, I watched it and I was there right in front of me, and I didn't really notice it. It's only once you see it on the replay you can really see exactly what happened. But again, maybe Holding's got to be a little bit more streetwise there and do what Son did for the second yellow and roll around on the floor and make a massive point, make sure the referee notices it. Holding didn't do that, but the 2 yellow cards were silly. I don't understand the tactic from Arteta as well, the whole Rob Holding man marking Son. It was clear from the first couple of minutes that that's what Arsenal were doing. Every time Son got on the ball and or looked to get on the ball with his back to goal, Holding was all over him. It was like a Martin Keown type man marking job that we used to see Keown do all the time. The issue there is Martin Keown was very, very good at it. Rob Holding, that's not really his game, is it? And you could just see watching it, it looked like it was a recipe for disaster. There was a couple of fouls before, and then he got the yellow card. I tweeted at the time, I was like, surely he's got to stop now. But it didn't. It carried on. He got the other yellow card, and it was just a really strange tactic, I thought, from Arsenal, and it was clearly a pre-planned thing. It didn't work. It backfired, and from the moment Holding was sent off, then it was game over. There was no doubt about it. And for Arsenal, only losing 3-0 was pretty much a result, to be honest, because when that third goal went in straight after half time, you sort of sat there and thought, this is going to get really, really ugly. So they actually did all right to limit the damage. So look, it was a disaster. Everything that could have gone wrong, the Gabriel injury after that as well, it did go wrong. It was just a night to forget, a horrible one. And you just got to move on now, put that to bed and sort of focus on the Newcastle game, because ultimately the season's not going to be defined by what happened last night. The season now is going to be defined by what happens over the next couple of games. If Arsenal hold their nerve and manage to find a way to win, then all those celebrations Tottenham had after the game, all that atmosphere last night, is going to count for nothing. Arsenal finish above them, so that's what they've got to focus on. I mean, Arteta was clearly fuming after the game with Paul Tierney. I'm sure you've all heard what he had to say in the various media appearances he did with the TVs, the broadcasters, the radio, and then he came in, sat down with us in the press conference room for the written press, and he was asked to explain why he was happy. He just said, unhappy. He said, I cannot do it. I just want to say that I'm really proud of the players, but obviously we didn't get the result we wanted. I can't wait to play on Monday. He was asked about the red card. He said, I want to be on the touchline on Monday night. Now, I can't talk about it because I will be suspended. You can ask the referee if he wants to come and give an assessment of the match. I can do it, but I have two options. I can lie to you, which I won't do, or I will not, and I'll be suspended. And I really want to be on the touchline against Newcastle. We wanted to play the game. We were excited to play a game that you've seen from the team, how we started. The way we were playing at this beautiful occasion was then destroyed, and unfortunately we could not get the game we wanted to play. I mean, he was really, really annoyed. You could tell, and I think, as I said, I think for the penalty he's well within his rights to be annoyed, because I've given my thoughts on the penalty. I don't think it was, but I don't think he's got too many complaints about the Rob Holding one. I think that was 2 yellow cards. I think it was just a little bit naive by Holding. It was naive by Arteta, really, with the tactics. Like I said, it just didn't really make too much sense for me. I thought it backfired, and maybe Arteta, when he sort of looks at it, I mean, we've seen what Conte's had to say afterwards. I'll get to that in a second. But maybe Arteta will look at it this morning and think maybe he didn't need to react the way he did in front of the media. But I think Arteta's a clever guy, and I kind of feel like what he was doing was almost trying to create a siege mentality straight away there ahead of the next 2 games. He wanted to show the players that he wasn't annoyed. He wanted to, like I said, sort of build that mentality, that siege mentality ahead of 2 games. Like, everyone's against us, the refs are against us, the media's against us. Let's sort of use this to our advantage and try and really wind the players up and make them sure that they know there's still 2 games to go and they are still the ones in the driving seat. So he was definitely angry, but I do wonder if there was a little bit of something else in there as well. And it was maybe Arteta trying to use things to the advantage and trying to almost get the players really sort of behind him and feeling like everyone is against them. I mean, Conte, we saw that press conference as well. He came straight in, and I thought it was a bit, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for there. I thought it was a little bit out of order, sort of the way he went for Arteta afterwards, talking about, he likes to complain, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it was condescending a little bit. Maybe it was almost like, look, I'm the experienced coach, you're the young guy on the block, I've just put you back in your place, know your place, and all that sort of stuff. And I'm not sure he really needed to go there. I don't think really Arteta actually complained that much. I think he didn't say anything. So yes, he kind of was making a point by not saying anything, but it wasn't like he sat there and really, really complained. I mean, Antonio Conte, it's a bit sort of pot calling the kettle black when you're Antonio Conte and you're having a go at one manager complaining. I mean, this is a manager we've seen almost crying after a defeat and saying, I'm going to walk out, I'm going to quit, it's not working. I mean, he's thrown his toys out of the pram how many times? How many clubs has he walked out on because he's fallen out and had suddenly his relationships collapsed with an owner? So I thought, yeah, it was interesting. I think maybe Conte was just trying to put the boot in a little bit more. It was mind games, whatever you want to think. I mean, we know Conte's a brilliant coach. We know he's a very smart and clever guy, and he decided to really go for Arteta and kick him when he's down. And it'll be interesting. I mean, his press conference was after Arteta's, so it'll be interesting next time Arteta speaks to the media. He's doing something at London Colney tomorrow, but it's not like a big open press conference. I think there's only a couple of reporters going down, and the quotes will be shared out, but it'll be interesting to see if he responds and how he responds to it, because I'm sure he's probably got when he was probably back on the team coach actually on the way back to the hotel when Conte was speaking to the media, and those quotes would have certainly found their way to Arteta pretty quickly, and it'd be interesting to get his views on exactly what Conte had to say. But yeah, like I said, it was just a little bit much, a little bit rich from Conte, really talking about managers complaining when he's made a lifetime out of complaining and kicking off. I mean, he even got himself booked in the first 20 minutes yesterday for having a go at the referee and the officials and complaining. He marched down out of his technical area about 20 yards to have a go at the linesman. He was complaining then, he got a yellow card for it. So for him to really then pipe up and have a real big go at Arteta, I thought it was a little bit much, but it kind of added to the occasion, doesn't it? And it's added to the spice of the next couple of games. It's all drama, isn't it? It's what football's about. And yeah, you know, fair play to Conte. His team won. He delivered a masterclass, as people are calling it. I'm not quite sure it was that, because again, for the first 25 minutes or 22 minutes, whatever it was, I thought Arsenal's tactics were working really well when they were a better team. Penalty happens, and then everything gets flipped on its head, and obviously Conte gets labelled a genius and Arteta gets labelled a dunce and an amateur, but I'm not sure it's quite as black and white as that, to be honest. Injury-wise, really worrying yesterday with Gabriel going off with that suspected hamstring problem. He was certainly holding the hamstring when he went down. Mikel asked about it after the game. Obviously, it was only a few minutes after the injury happened, so he's not going to be able to give a proper update. He said, I don't know what it is. Gabby is normally not a player who wants to or asked to come off the pitch. He felt something. Hopefully, it's not much. Because with Rob out suspended and with Ben having no training sessions, obviously we are very short in that position. It's a muscular problem. We'll have to assess him. I mean, it's not good, is it? When you see any player go down holding the hamstring, then you're looking at 3 weeks out. Arsenal have got 2 games left. The final game of the season is next Sunday. You've got to think it's very unlikely that Gabriel's going to play again this season. I mean, that's based on no medical fact from me. That's based purely on opinion. Hopefully I'm wrong and it was just a precaution that he was taken off, but it didn't look positive, did it? And it's a big issue for Arsenal because they're going to have no Rob Holding against Newcastle now. We know that because he's suspended. Ben White clearly is nowhere near fit, because as soon as Rob Holding got sent off on last night, you thought, 22 minutes gone or whatever it was, or 30 minutes gone, only 1-0 down. You bring your centre-back off the bench and take someone off and keep things tight. But the fact that White didn't come on suggests he's nowhere near ready. He didn't come on even when Gabriel went off and Tavares came on. I wasn't overly surprised in that because the game was already done and dusted. So what's the point if there's no point taking any risk when it comes to White at that point, because the game's finished. So, and you know that he's probably your only available centre back for the game against Newcastle at that point. So you don't want to put him on anyway. You just chuck Tavares on and see the minutes out. But the fact he didn't come on when Holding got sent off certainly suggests to me that he's clearly not been anywhere near ready. And Arteta there saying that he's had no training sessions at all. So that's a major problem. Arsenal do have until Monday night, which is a little bit of a bonus. They got an extra 24 hours from Spurs. Obviously, he played Burnley. And we'll see how Ben White does first of all, and if there's any chance of Gabriel. I doubt it. So Arteta's going to have some real difficult decisions to make when it comes to the back line. I mean, potentially you're looking at a back four against Newcastle of Tavares, White, Tomiyasu and Cedric, and it's just not ideal. It doesn't fill you with any confidence, that does it? And it's a shame at such a key stage of the season, but this is what happens. Sometimes you get luck with injuries, sometimes you don't, and Arsenal haven't had not having any luck with them at the moment with so many key players out, and Gabriel's is only added to that. Hopefully, touch wood, like you said, you can somehow come through it, even if it's not for the Newcastle game. Maybe you can come back for the Everton game, which would be useful and could potentially be the season defining game. And we'll have to wait and see, and whatever happens now, it looks very, very likely it's going to go to the last day of the season. The only way it can't is if Tottenham lose to Burnley on Sunday at 12 o'clock, which you have to admit is probably not going to happen, and then Arsenal win. That would mean Arsenal again move 4 points clear with 1 game to go, so it'll be done and dusted. It's highly unlikely that's going to happen. You think by the time Arsenal go to Newcastle on Monday, they're going to be 5th because All Tottenham need to do is win against, well, they need to do draw, in fact, against Burnley on Sunday, and that will put them above Arsenal in 4th and pile all the pressure on Arsenal ahead of that game against Newcastle. It's going to be huge, no doubt about it. And at the way things go at the moment, you have to admit the momentum is with Spurs, but you'd still want to be in Arsenal's position, wouldn't you? With 2 games to go, 1 point clear, win 2 games, you get top 4. Ultimately, you would take that. That's a position you'd want to be in. You wouldn't want to be on catch-up. So let's wait and see what happens. Thank you very much for watching. Everyone, appreciate your time. As always, please do try and enjoy your Friday a little bit. Forget about what happened last night. Remember, Monday, that's the big one now. Forget about what happened. Let them have their moment. Let them enjoy it. Tottenham, at the end of the day, Arsenal still at the moment in the driving seat when it comes to the Champions League. Try and sort of keep that in your mind as it goes and have a very good weekend. I'll speak to you soon.